We are
Okay, we're live. Hi. Okay, so we're having a little bit of technical difficulty, but we got it figured out because we're smart people and we're resourceful. So
health.
I just wanted to say hello. Welcome to TrYumph Nation Live with Hollie and
Coach Matt O'Brien.
Coach Matt O'Brien. So weekly, we are going to come to you on a show called TNL, TrYumph Nation Live. Each week, we're going to have a different topic that's based on the topic of the week. So over this past week and a half, we've been asking you guys lots of different questions on what do you want to know? Like, what are you curious about? And the amazing Mr. O'Brien's been talking about health a little bit, and some topics have come up. So we're going to be talking about those topics today with you. So we're super excited. When you're tuning in, let us know if you're tuning in the live or the replay, because we may make some adjustments on the timing depending on what time you're able to hop on. But the reason we want to do it during the day is so you have plenty of time to watch this live and then ask any questions. And then periodically throughout the month, we're doing some specials Q&A at night, and we can go over those questions. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to our special guest. If you're tuning in and don't have StreamYard, make sure you put your name down, because we want to know who you are and what you're commenting and what questions you're asking. And so Matt and I can help answer any questions. So Mr. O'Brien, would you like to introduce yourself? I'm so excited that we're doing this together. And this is our first time, technically our first TNL.
Yeah, welcome to our premiere TNL. We did our little intro last week, and I guess the vision of this TNL show is to pour into our TrYumph Nation community, answer questions that come up throughout the week or that we just hear through a variety of sources, one of which is my Magic Pill Monday show. I had a lot of questions about stress and hormones, or I asked what people struggle with, and it seemed like stress and hormones seem to be pretty popular. So we want to answer the questions that are on your mind, not on my mind, and hopefully do it in a way that gives you some hope and promote health or journey towards your health or your best health, and actionable steps, baby steps. That's why I call it the journey. And our coaching program is called Road to Health for that reason. It's a great metaphor. It's the journey that never ends. So that's my intro. Me, Hollie, who is my wife, and most of you know her, and really excited to do this together. And I've been with TrYumph. I founded TrYumph way back in 1998 in New York City. And I kind of like to say we're in TrYumph 3.0 now. We're about to launch 4.0, which includes our online coaching. And eventually we're going to have smoothie bars, and we launch our Kid Fit. So TrYumph is like Virgin. You remember the brand Virgin? That's the vision, is to have TrYumph Fitness, TrYumph Online, TrYumph Smoothies. But we spelled TrYumph with the Y when I designed the logo over here. Always watching on camera, you're watching backwards, because the Y in TrYumph is you, and we want to give you the information and the motivation and encouragement to move forward in your journey. So that's me. Been doing this for a long time, and hopefully I can share some wisdom and guidance and some of my own struggles.
Well, guys, you're in for a treat, because I have learned so much from this man over here. So it's the opposite. So it's this way. I have learned so much from him, and he's helped. So the other way, there we go. I'm from TV land. My husband's not, so I'm used to stuff like this. So I've really learned so much, and Matt and I have partnered up to teach you and help you on your journey of health. Because guys, it doesn't matter how long you're here for. If you're not enjoying this journey, what's the point? So we want to start off our first TNL weekly show on health. What the heck is health? You can define it in so many different ways, and I know there's lots of different definitions out there, but Matt has a specific description or definition of what health is. So first, Mr. O'Brien, can you just tell us, like, what is health in a very brief, short description where people can understand, like, what is health?
Yeah, I mean, if you want more details, I think I did the topic post last week, but I define health. Well, the medical profession says health is the absence of disease. And then I like to think of it more in the sense of the longer you can go through life doing the things that you love to do and still kick ass. And that's my definition of health, because a lot of people work so hard for retirement and they sacrifice their health in the process, and then they retire and they are bedridden or in a nursing home or worse, and never get to enjoy that retirement. So it's like, what's the point? And I think that's the origin of Ralph Waldo Emerson's quote that said, health is wealth. And because if you don't have your health, I don't care how much money you have. Ask Steve Jobs if he probably would have traded all of his billions when he was dying from pancreatic cancer. I bet you he would have traded those in a millisecond for his health. So that's my definition, is how long you can keep kicking ass for health.
I'm putting notes. I wish I could put notes in the chat here, just because what you're saying is gold. It's really gold. So if you guys have a piece of paper, just write down some notes and jot down some things for you today, because this really could help you and other people. So that being said, if you find this group valuable, you've been here for a week, if you find it valuable, please share it with a friend, because we want to help a lot of people. So we've defined health. And one of the things that we've talked about this week, Mr. O'Brien, is we've asked people questions on what they want to learn more about. And do you know what came up a lot, guys? Hormones. Hormones came up so much that we actually want to talk about that today. So the first things first, hormones can be so like mysterious, like hormones. What the heck are hormones? Can you just tell us what are hormones?
Yeah, hormones are kind of the way our brain and body communicates functions or programming instructions to some part of the body. They are largely responsible for how we feel, largely responsible for how much we weigh. They're largely responsible for our motivation or lack of motivation, and how we feel and experience love, how we experience and feel relationships, how we digest our food, how we respond to stress, and they react to stress. So hormones are critical in the functioning of our bodies. And a lot of us, what kind of came up in Monday's show, which we call Magic Pill Mondays, is a lot of people want to blame their hormones for their circumstances, or blame, as I get older, my hormones are changing. And that's certainly true to a degree. But here's the reality is, most of our hormones, especially those that are relevant to metabolism and our body weight, other than estrogen for women, largely remain unchanged until we're in our 60s. If, the caveat, if we're doing the things, making the lifestyle choices, doing the activities of daily living that preserve our muscle mass and strength first and foremost, because that has a direct 100% line-to-line correlation with your metabolism. So when your metabolism's slowing down and you're in your 40s, that's because you've lost muscle mass from not using it. You got to use it or you will lose it. So that's part of, kind of, not to point fingers or make you depressed, but we want to make you aware of the things that we have control over. And we're big time, and Hollie's going to preach it too, on ownership. Taking ownership for our own health, taking ownership for our own circumstances. Yes, there are situations and circumstances out of our control, but we can certainly control how we react to them. But there's many situations and circumstances that are in our control, i.e. what we put in our mouths, what time we go to bed, how we react or overreact to circumstances, how we schedule our time. These are all things that we are in control of that will largely dictate your quality and quantity of life. So ownership is going to be a recurring theme, because we're big on mindset, and I'm super proud of that girl over there, because she is actually getting certified as a mindset specialist, so she can do her mojo on your brains and make you do things that you know you should be doing and enjoy doing it. So she can do that anyway, but she's learning some additional tools for her toolbox. And I'm actually going through a hormone specialist certification myself, just to augment what experience and my previous certifications already taught me. So in experience.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for the shout out. I'm excited to be able to help more people. So guys, if you feel like this is going to help more people, invite them into the group because we talk more about mindset, more about hormones. She's already a mindset specialist. I love you. I don't know who that is. Whoever said that, I love you. Definitely put your name after your posting if you don't have StreamYard. I appreciate that. So let me get this straight. You just gave me an overwhelming sense of hope because I hear you saying that I can actually help my hormones by sleeping better, by eating maybe what's appropriate for me. And we'll learn what that is in here, by being less stressed, by moving my body, by building more muscle, by losing some more weight, by like you're telling me, like, guys, stop. You're telling me that I can actually help my hormones by doing all that?
In a word, yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
How?
fill me in, Mr. O'Brien. Fill me in.
Want
I
an
know that
example?
one thing fixes everything, but you're giving me and all of us some massive hope here.
Yeah, and we are also, besides ownership, massive believers in creating hope. I did a topic post on hope. I would encourage you to read that. That was pretty emotional writing that for me. But the quote is basically we can live 40 days without food, 4 days without water, 4 minutes without air, but only 4 seconds without hope. We need hope in our lives, and Hollie and I's like heartbeat is to provide hope for others, and we do that by being light and encouragement and painting a picture of hope by showing you the things that you can be doing in simple things, simple strategies, and in your life. And just a couple examples, just to make it more relevant. And insulin and cortisol are two. A lot of people, I like to focus on. I know a lot of people, especially after COVID, the average American gained 27 to 29 pounds, according to one study, during that COVID 18-month period where we were locked in our rooms, so to speak. But insulin and cortisol are the two hormones I start with in my coaching program, educating our clients on, because they have such a powerful influence on our body weight. So let's start with cortisol. Most people know that it's a stress hormone, and if you're overstressed, you're going to overproduce cortisol, and that's part of life. We need stress. Cortisol is our fight or flight hormone produced in the adrenal glands, and it allows us to either get away from the saber-toothed tiger or to fight the bully and take on something head on. Now in real life, mostly that's maybe your boss, or a conflict with your spouse, but some cortisol is good. But if you're in chronic stress, that's something you definitely want to address. So you have to be aware or self-aware enough to realize that I'm stressed out of my mind all the time. That has to change, or you will die 5 to 7 years prematurely. I'm just telling you the facts. I had a client that was in a job that was taking her away from her family, which was stressful. It was her having to do other people's jobs because she either was criticized for the work not getting done that they were supposed to be doing, and she took that on herself. And she had all these deadlines. It was just affecting her in a lot of ways. And so I just presented the criteria for her to make a decision. Ultimately, it has to be your decision. And I said, your job is literally going to cost you short-term goals of weight loss, but long-term goals of longevity. And I'm happy to report, again, I'm just a navigator providing guidance. And she decided to find a different job, and she took that leap of faith. And not only did she get paid more, but she had to relearn how to have a relationship with her husband, and she was less stressed. And guess what? Without changing anything else, like, she started losing weight. So stress is one thing, but
Can
back
we just
to
put congratulations in the chat? Let's just congratulate her. That's amazing. So if you're watching,
her
congratulations.
name is Lisa.
Lisa.
So Lisa, I don't know if she's watching, but
so good. Guys, you could do this too.
Yeah, so she's a massive courage to make that choice. Sometimes you just need a little nudge. I think that's all I did. But ultimately, the one thing, just to get back to hope, the one thing we have immediate control over, less courage required than quitting your job, is sleep. Sleep and cortisol go hand in hand. Quality and quantity of sleep. That's why I'm so big on monitoring, measuring sleep quality and quantity with my clients, because if that is out of whack, we could be doing all the things, like Hollie likes to say, all the things right, nutrition and training and counting our steps, tracking our macros, which I don't actually have my clients do, but and you're still gonna gain weight, or you're not gonna lose weight. So for clients where I perceive that is a big possibility, where their sleep could be an issue, we start with sleep first to get that dialed in. And so that's one bad night of sleep can dramatically affect cortisol up to 30-40%. And they learned this in a study in 2017 where they looked at, everybody knows about daylight savings time. In the spring forward, when we lose an hour, collectively across America, the DOT, Department of Transportation stats for car accidents go up by 30%. And the healthcare stats on heart attacks go up by almost the same, like 27-28%, on that Monday morning after daylight savings in the spring. You're like, whoa, and that's just from 1 hour less sleep. So huge impact. And then, like on the flip side, an extra hour in the fall, the stats go down because people are getting that extra hour of sleep unintentionally in most cases. So sleep is definitely a way that you have a powerful influence on cortisol. And then ultimately, cortisol also has an influence on insulin, and insulin is our fat storage hormone. So if cortisol is elevated, guess what else is elevated? Insulin. When insulin's elevated, you store fat. So cortisol down, insulin down, assuming your nutrition's relatively dialed in, and you will start losing that fat without changing a whole lot of things. So that's a big mushroom that you can, or that's not a good, you don't pick mushrooms off a tree, right? They're on the ground. Okay. A big apple you can pull off the tree.
Okay, guys. So what I'm hearing is cortisol. It's what's insulin and cortisol are huge. So we had talked previously about some different other hormones and things that make such a difference, but it sounds like insulin and cortisol are big. So if you are someone that wants to learn a little more about sleep, could you just put sleep in the chat? Because I think we could do a whole lesson on sleep there, and that would be under probably our recovery week. So that's some pretty powerful things, guys. So insulin, cortisol, what about like testosterone, estrogen, like all of those hormones? Like, does that, could you share a little bit about how that can help it? We can maybe help with that, which will help us maybe lose weight, maybe sleep better. Is there anything you want to share with that?
Absolutely. I think, I always believe in the domino effect, and you want to start with the first domino, and the first two dominoes for my framework is insulin and cortisol. So we want to get sleep dialed in, and we want to do the Nutrition Made Simple blueprint. And then that helps those two hormones, which starts a cascade effect for other critical hormones. So let me focus on the guys for a little bit and talk about testosterone. That's our classic male hormone, but ladies, you also produce testosterone in your ovaries and some in the adrenal glands, and it's important for your oomph and your sex drive and other things, but it's 1/10 ish the amount that males produce in most cases. But here's the hopeful news, I would think, and I know, Lacey, you put your hormones need help. And what I hope to really encourage you is, like, we will give you some of the tools that put you in control of your hormones. Just realize most of them are in your control. In some situations like POTS and PCOS for women, it's going to take some time, just like restoring your metabolic function with diet and exercise. That's a process. But it's not a forever process. It's usually a 2 to 3 month process that you can restore your metabolic function to balance. And likewise, the hormones sometimes could take 6 to 12 months, but absolutely, positively, in most cases, 80 to 90%, they'll get mostly back to normal. But what I was talking about in testosterone, and somebody put hysterectomy. So I'm going to talk briefly about HRT because there's a lot of BS information about that being spread on the internet. So you always got to trust your sources. But guys, testosterone, the male macho hormone that we want more of, is inversely correlated with our body fat stores. So the more body fat you have, the lower your testosterone is. So if you have some fat to lose, and most people do, the encouragement, if nothing else, would be my testosterone is going to go up. And it's kind of like that could be the catalyst for further changes in as you build muscle, and it's going to accelerate your fat loss. Do you mind if I talk about real quick about those situations where, you know, people like in a hysterectomy, when you lose your ovaries and the estrogen and progesterone producing parts of your body? Just real quick aside, you know, there's a lot of misinformation about hormone replacement therapy related to breast cancer in women. And it literally comes down, and I'm just going to give you the takeaway, and you can either take my word for it, you can go look it up. But they totally misread the statistical analysis of the Women's Health Initiative results, which is a massive study they did in the 90s and 2000s. And they initially reported that, you know, estrogen raised the risk of breast cancer. And when it was all reanalyzed, it was actually determined that bioidentical estrogen replacement therapy extended women's life, added bone density, added quality of life, and not the opposite. And it was the people that were on synthetic progesterone actually that had elevated risk of breast cancer. So a lot of times statistical analysis, when somebody's promoting their own agenda, there's statistical and scientific bias that tends to come out. But fortunately, that information, the data was reanalyzed by people with less agendas, and they determined that HRT can be beneficial. So highly recommend you find a skilled practitioner. A functional health doctor is a good way to start. I think it's IFM, Institute of Functional Medicine.org. You can search by zip code and find a functional health practitioner in your area and book a consult, do some hormonal testing, and just an option. I'm not saying you have to, but it is quality of life changing. And I know there's a stigma, but it's usually linked to that study for people that had that erroneous information. So find a functional health practitioner that knows what they're doing, and your quality of life is just waiting for you to happen. So hopefully that's encouraging.
That's actually, I love that you just explained all that, because here's the deal, guys. I feel like you're getting a little bit of like a bite of a cookie monster, Mr. O'Brien, a bite of a cookie of what we're here to offer. Guys, this is a lot of really great in-depth information. This is not going to be a fluffy group. So I hope that you lean into this and you're taking notes, because right now we're talking about hormones. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about hormones, but on a deeper level. It's not just like, oh, hormones. Guys, from what we've talked about before, you can play, there's a huge role in your sleep, in what you're eating and how you're moving and your mindset. And it plays all of this in hormones. So you have hope that you can make a difference and help yourself by adjusting things like what we're talking about in this group to help your hormones. So if you're sitting here today going, well, I'm this way because of my hormones. Okay. I'm going to say that one more time. If you're sitting here today and you're saying, I am this way because of my hormones, Matt, what advice would you give to that person if they're sitting there not understanding that they can really make a difference? What would be their first step?
The first step is always, always, always understanding, becoming aware of what I call the forest of functional health. What is the forest, Matt? You know the cliche, people get lost in the trees, lose the forest in the trees, or whatever that cliche. I don't even know the cliche. I'm not a cliches guy, but a lot of people get lost focusing on the little stuff, the trees and the weeds, and they don't see the big picture. Like, oh, I'm going to lose weight. So they'll spend 20 minutes researching what spandex is going to make me look good. What running shoes should I get? What fitness tracker should I wear? and what gym should I join? Or so I'll do all that instead of just going out and walking for 20 minutes. Do the forest. So to answer your question, like the forest is basically the framework that we're going through our 5 pillars of health, which, health and hormones, nutrition, fitness and exercise, sleep and recovery, hydration. All these are foundational, important stuff. So you need the blueprint or the framework of each of those things, which I've tried to simplify. And those of you, this is just a little teaser. One of the ways we can help you in more detail, if you're at that point, when we have the stages of decision making, you go through pre-contemplation, contemplation, before you're ready to take action. I'm planting seeds today, and so is Hollie, that we want to harvest at some point in the future when you're ready. And everybody's on a different timeline, but just to plant one of those seeds is, the program I created called Road to Health is we take people through those 5 areas with specific frameworks and easy actionable steps. I call it made simple. And that's all the, testimonials we're going to share into this group. We have a wall of fame at TrYumph Fitness here in Largo, Florida, featuring many of those testimonials, but most of them would tell you they're busy, in most cases, professionals, doctors, lawyers, all the excuses as far as time, reasonable excuses, but they just give them simple steps to follow. And we all need guidance, and we need that supportive community. So we're going to be making a special promo offer next week to those of you that are at that point where you want to, more information, more guidance, specific steps. That's coming, but we're here to pour in and provide hope and direction and plant those seeds. And that's what we're going to do together as a community. So super excited. And she is focused on, I'm ready.
Well, I'm excited because we're having some people put in here, like, I want to focus on more things. Time for me to understand my hormones. So guys, we like to cap this at 20 minutes. We're a little bit over 20 minutes, and I'm going to ask Matt one more question before we leave, but I want you to lean into what we're talking about today. You're not going to learn everything all in one day. If you're super confused watching this, that is okay. That's what we're here for. Go back to the previous post that Matt did yesterday. He's talking about hormones there. On Monday, he had Magic Pill Monday, where he talked about a lot of the stuff that we're talking about now, more into detail. So we're here to offer you hope. We're here to offer you help. We want to give you as much information as possible. But if you're leaning in and going, geez, I really feel like I need more help than what this is, just go ahead and put Road to Health in the chat here. We'll share more information with you. If it's for you, awesome. If not, no worries. This group right here is to help you move on to the next step, grow and get better. And that's it. And that's what we're here for. So I'm really excited that we started off with hormones. I think it can be really confusing. Don't worry, guys. We've got the rest of the week that we're going to be putting little bits in here about hormones. Let us know if you have any specific questions in the chat right now that we can go over the rest of the week. Other than that, Matt, is there anything else you want to talk about health and hormones, or anything that we kind of missed that you can kind of just close us off with?
Yeah, absolutely. I see in the chat, somebody had written, they had focused on 4 of the 5. They want to understand the hormones. But the topic post yesterday is just a real quick overview of the hormonal system and the endocrine system and the 11 primary hormones, from the ones I already talked about to melatonin, DHA, thyroid. So that would be, I have a little breakdown, short summary of each of the primary hormones. So that would be a great place to start to gain an understanding of your hormones. And then the next step would be getting testing with a functional health practitioner that knows what they're doing. Or there's some pretty cool resources where they'll ship to your door. I keep those in my secret stash in a note file on my phone that I can send out to clients when those situations happen. But there's certainly resources for you to get that information, and hopefully have somebody kind of go through it with you. I do that with my clients. We certainly would love to help you in any way that we can. But just to wrap up, just understand that health, like I said earlier, health is wealth. We want to prioritize the health. We invest time and energy in so many things that don't bear fruit in the big picture of life. Like people will spend money on business courses, but very few spend money on their health. Hollie and I committed in our marriage that we would spend money and time and energy and resources into improving our marriage. And so each year we try to do something, whether it's a retreat or a workshop or a life group around relationships. Those are just some of the examples that we've done. You got to invest the time. You got to make the effort, and it's so worth it. So just don't assume that health is going to happen. You got to take steps, and we're going to encourage you and nudge you to take those steps. And we need that as human beings. We're like water. We take the path of least resistance. And if you have kids like we do, it's even worse with kids. But just be aware of that. And we'll talk a lot about ownership and awareness. And with those two things, you can change your life and you can change someone else's life, and you can collectively with us help change the world. So baby steps, and that's why we call it a journey. Baby steps, and eventually you're going to travel farther and farther in the direction of your dreams, your hopes, your desires, and your goals.
Guys, so here's the deal. Thank you, Matt. That was amazing. This is your journey, but you don't need to do it alone. Am I looking at the mic now? This is your journey, but you don't need to do it alone. We are here for you. I took down some notes. Don't assume health will happen. Guys, don't assume health will happen. Health will happen. Say that 10 times fast. We got you. We are here with you on your journey. I'm looking at my cup. See, look, you are mighty. It's probably going to be backwards. Is it backwards? No, look. So
That's right. It's just out of focus.
You are mighty. It's out of focus. That's okay. So I want to leave you with today. You are mighty. You are powerful. You are stronger than you think. We are here with you along the journey. So lean in, buckle up. It's going to be a fun ride. So thank you, guys. Say bye in the chat. Bye, Matt. Thank you. We appreciate it. Tune in next week for Magic Pill Monday, and then also our next live on our new topic. What's our topic next week, Mr. O'Brien?
I don't know.
I wrote it down. Let's see. Next week is Nutrition Week.
Yeah.
Woo! Nutrition Week. So, guys, buckle in. We're going to talk about nutrition.
Put it in the comments so other people will watch the replay. We'll see you. We'll check the notes.